just mentioned the war with Iran, it continues and it's just entered its 11th week. The Strait of Hormuz remains closed with global economic consequences, but the organization that was once able to help settle international conflicts has been unable to make headway. So we went inside the United Nations to see just how difficult negotiations can be. Anna Shecter, who's the head of our crime and policing unit, I should say, joins us with more on this because, Anna, you went to the UN, you spoke with the Iranian and Israeli delegations. You would have made news if you would have got them in the same room, but talk to us about the challenges of even speaking to both sides.
Yes, well, the Israeli delegation spoke to me on the record, and they said, you know, it's so hard to even, they don't want to be in the same room because there's no acknowledgement, no eye contact. So if you think your workplace is awkward, imagine what it is showing up inside the UN every day. There's a cafeteria there, and you have this gridlock. You've had these negotiations happening overseas. You had Islamabad, you have other locations, but here in New York City, where we have the United Nations, where things are supposed to happen, what the challenge is, you've got these 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council. So it's China, the Russian Federation, US, Britain, and France. And you're just always, you have these opposing sides. China and the US are going to be at odds, Russia and the US. And so even though Iran is not a permanent member, but I don't know if we have the sound. I was going to just play a little bit of sound from the Israeli delegation to hear from him, his perspective, as he has to show up there every day. Let's take a listen.
There would be no recognition, no eye contact, there's no communication. The UN is just a microcosm of external realities, and the Islamic Republic doesn't recognize Israel outside of the UN and certainly not inside of Iran.
So we were meeting there in the Qatari lounge. That's this beautiful place for delegates to relax, and they didn't really want to pass each other. They didn't want to be there at the same time. So
the Iranians and the Israelis.
Yeah, and you can imagine for the Iranians too. I mean, they're on an island. They're here in the U.S. U.S. and Israel launched joint strikes. Imagine what that is like. So just on that individual human basis, it was so interesting to get to talk to people. Actually, we reached out to all the delegations directly involved. We also reached out to China. So we'll be going back and continuing our reporting.
And what about your conversations with the Iranian delegation? Would they take your call, or?
Yeah, they absolutely. Now, it was off the record, but they were absolutely willing to meet. And, you know, our team in D.C., we have to go to them for comment all the time, right? So they know that journalism is alive and well here in the U.S., and this is part of their role of being here. I think people forget there is an Iranian mission here in New York City, and I think that's surprising to people. People might not realize that's a very real thing. However, it's very symbolic. What is actually going to get done? That's what's so frustrating here. And you know, the U.S. does fund most. It's the biggest funder of the UN. However, the Trump administration has pulled back a lot of the funding for a variety of programs that the UN runs around the world.
And the word you just used, symbolic, is key, because the UN has been really symbolic, but has not been able to bring about a ton of progress on this point. Anna Shecter, thank you so much.
Thanks, Anna.